my dear students. I hope you all are well. I am Mohammad Altaf Rahman, lecturer in zoology. Welcome to my online class. Let's go. Next discussion. Here you can see a plant and a human. They exchange gases between them. I think everyone can understand the process. It is a common process, occurs in all living organisms. I will discuss about the gaseous exchange, chapter 7. Today's topic is the gaseous exchange in plants and the various parts of human respiratory system. Gaseous exchange in plants. We know that photosynthesis and respiration are very important process in the life of a plant. Plants take carbon dioxide from air and leave oxygen by photosynthesis process. On the other hand, plants take oxygen from the air and leave carbon dioxide by respiration process. The exchange of these two gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide, and other gases occur through the stomata of leaves and the lenticels on the bark of the mature stem. Photosynthesis is a word which comes from Greek words photo, which means light, and synthesis, which means putting together. Photosynthesis is a process by which green plants and certain other organisms transform light energy into chemical energy. During photosynthesis, in green plants, light energy is captured and used to convert water, carbon dioxide, and minerals into oxygen and energy-rich organic compounds like glucose. Reaction of photosynthesis. In the presence of light and chlorophyll, carbon dioxide react with water and produce C6H12O6, means glucose, H2O, and oxygen. In daylight or in the presence of sufficient light, the rate of photosynthesis becomes high. But at the night, the light phases of photosynthesis process stops, and so oxygen gas is not produced. But the respiration process occurs round the clock, day and night, and the production of carbon dioxide continues. Just as the leaf absorbs oxygen and carbon dioxide from the air, roots also absorbs required water from the soil. Oxygen gas is produced as a result of the reaction between carbon dioxide and water, which plants absorb from the soil by the root. Then oxygen gas returns in the atmosphere. In this way, exchange of gases goes on in a plant. Respiration. Respiration. The term respiration comes from Latin word respira, which means to breathe. Respiration is the biochemical process in which the cells of an organism obtain energy by combining oxygen and glucose, resulting in the release of carbon dioxide, water, and ATP. Reaction of respiration. Glucose means C6H12O6 react with oxygen and produces carbon dioxide, H2O, energy, and heat. Human respiratory system. The human respiratory system is composed of a group of organs and tissues, and we know that Lungs are the primary organs of the respiratory system. The path or way in which the air enters the lungs and the air flows out of the lungs is called respiratory passage. Different parts of respiratory system. The organs which is related with the respiratory system or respiration process are nasal cavity, nasopharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchus, lungs and diaphragm. Now I am discussing broadly about all of these parts. At first, nasal cavity. It is the first part of the respiratory system and it is also a hollow space within the nose and skull and lined by mucous membrane. Nasal cavity subdivided into two by nasal septum and it is lined by skin that wears hairs. Function: to warm, moisturize and filter air entering the body before it reaches the lungs. The air entering into the body through this passage, the hairs act like filters so that the germs or airborne particles cannot enter into the respiratory tract. Next part, nasopharynx. Nasopharynx is the superior region of the pharynx found in the posterior of the nasal cavity. There is a small tongue-like part at the back of the roof of the mouth called soft palate. Function: the air entered into the pharynx passes to trachea through nasopharynx. Soft palate closes the backside of the nasal cavity when swallowing food or drink. The soft palate also produces mucus substances in it. Next part, larynx. The larynx, also known as voice box, which is situated below the pharynx and the top of the trachea. There are two folds of muscles situated on opposite sides of the larynx, which is called vocal. There are many cartilaginous structures found in the larynx. Of them, thyroid cartilage is the largest one and rises high in front of the neck and called Adam's apple. Epiglottis is one of the cartilaginous piece of the function. The air can get into lungs through this passage. It produces sound. During ingestion, the epiglottis closes the opening of trachea. That's why the food particles cannot enter into the respiratory system, respiratory tract. Next part, trachea, which is a long tube made of cartilaginous rings. It connects the larynx to the bronchi and allows air to pass through the neck. The inner layer of the trachea covered with mucous membrane and cilia. Function: to provide a clear airway for air to enter and exit the lungs. The trapped dust, germs and other unwanted particles are expelled by the cilia. Next part, bronchus. At the inferior end of the trachea, the airway splits into two branches, left and right, and known as bronchi. The right bronchus slightly smaller than the left one. Each of the bronchi divides and subdivides repeatedly to form smaller part, bronchiole. The whole tracheal system is similar to the branch of a tree. because the respiratory system or tracheal system creates many branches. That's why it can generally be called a respiratory tree. Function: to carry air from the trachea into the lungs. Next part, lungs. Lungs is the main respiratory organ of human being. It is spongy-like organ. We have two organs, two lungs. One is left lung and the other is right lung. The left lung is slightly smaller than the right one. Each lung surrounded by double-layered membrane, and the outer layer is known as parietal layer and the inner layer is known as visceral layer, and in between the parietal layer and visceral layer there is liquid-like substances is present, which is called pleural fluid or serous fluid. Each lung divided up into smaller part lobes separated by dividers. The right lung has 3 lobes, but the left lung has only 2 lobes. The structural and functional unit of the lungs is alveolus. Function of the lung: the exchange of gases between the blood respiratory system and environment takes place in the lung. Last part, diaphragm. It is a muscular sheet which separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. Diaphragm is the main muscle of respiration and functions in breathing. Functions of diaphragm: during inhalation the diaphragm contracts and moves downward direction. That's why the volume of the thoracic cavity increases so that the air enters into the lungs through the respiratory tract. On the other hand, during exhalation the diaphragm relaxes and moves upward direction so that the volume of the thoracic cavity decreases so that the air goes out from the lungs. That's all today. Inshallah, I will discuss about the breathing and the gaseous exchange in the next class. Stay safe. Thank you, students.